You don't notice the exact moment it happens. It's too small, too quiet, too ordinary to register as a loss. It's the kind of moment you brush off, the kind you tell yourself isn't worth making a scene over. But that's the lie. That's the beginning of the daily drain that's been bleeding you dry for years. It starts in that conversation where you had something important to say. You felt it rising in your chest, the truth you've rehearsed a dozen times. You open your mouth, and someone else speaks first, and you freeze. Not because you agree, not because they made a better point, but because you've convinced yourself that their voice should go before yours. You step back without moving. You shrink without bending. You retreat without taking a single step. And nobody notices. Not even you. You tell yourself it's fine. You tell yourself you'll say it later. You tell yourself it wasn't the right moment. But you feel it. A tiny drop of power slipping through your fingers. So fast you couldn't catch it. So subtle you pretend it never happened. Pause. Because that's the exact moment your power leaves you. Not when someone shouts at you. Not when someone insults you. Not when life hits you with something dramatic. No, you lose power in the tiniest, quietest surrender you make to keep the peace, to avoid tension, to stay invisible, to not cause trouble. And you think it's harmless. Watch this part closely. There's another moment. The one where someone dismisses what you said with a half smile, a shrug, or a soft laugh that feels harmless on the surface. You notice the sting, but you swallow it. You tell yourself you're overreacting. And in that second of silence, where you let the disrespect settle instead of clearing it, your power evaporates. Not loudly, not violently, just gone. Then there's the moment when someone asks you what you want, and you know the answer. You know exactly what you want. But you say, I don't mind. You say, anything is fine. You say you decide. You don't say it because you truly don't care. You say it because you're afraid of being judged, disliked, or seen as demanding. But every time you hand the decision to someone else, you teach the world a quiet lesson. Your preferences exist last. Your needs come second. Your voice can wait. And the world listens. It learns. It adjusts to the version of you who keeps stepping aside. Here's the part no one tells you. Power doesn't disappear all at once. It leaks. Slowly. Daily. Through moments so small you don't defend them. The glance you avoid. The question you don't ask. The opinion you soften. The truth you dilute. The instinct you silence. You tell yourself you're being polite. You tell yourself you're being mature. You tell yourself you're choosing peace. Wrong. You're choosing disappearance. And this is where it gets dark. People can sense when your boundaries are soft long before you realize they're gone. They can feel when you don't push back. They can feel when you won't challenge them. They can feel when you've stopped fighting for your own space. And without even intending to, they take more. They talk over you more. They interrupt more. They assume more. They demand more. Because why wouldn't they? You've made it easy. You've made it natural. You've made it normal. And the worst part, the part you don't want to admit, is that you've grown comfortable with it. You've grown accustomed to not being heard. You've grown numb to the sinking feeling that your presence doesn't shift the room. You've learned to expect that your needs won't matter, so you stop presenting them altogether. But that is exactly how you lose power daily. Not dramatically, not explosively, but silently, through behaviors you ignore, through moments you dismiss, through instincts you choke before they make a sound. This is the opening wound. This is where the bleed begins. And this is what the rest of your life looks like if you don't stop it. You think these moments are isolated. Accidents. An off day. A conversation that just didn't go your way. But patterns don't scream, they whisper. And your power hasn't been stolen. It's been drained one quiet moment at a time, like a leak you keep pretending isn't there because the floor isn't flooded yet. You wake up in the morning already carrying a weight you can't name. Not heavy enough to collapse you, just heavy enough to make every decision softer. You move through your day as if you're trying not to disturb the air around you. You tell yourself you're being easygoing, but you feel the truth. You're bracing for something, for someone, for some subtle shift that will require you to shrink before it even arrives. It shows up in the way you walk into a room and immediately scan faces to see who you have to adjust yourself for. You don't enter as you. You enter as a softened version of you, a curated version, a safer version. The behavior is so practiced it happens without conscious thought. You don't realize how much of your presence you filter out before you speak your first word. But the world notices. They see the hesitation. They see the self-editing. They see the smallness you think you're hiding. Pause. Because this is one of the ways you lose power daily. You let other people set the temperature before you decide how warm or cold you're allowed to be. Then there's the moment where someone asks you a question, and you know the real answer would open a conversation you don't want to have. So you offer a soft version instead, a diluted truth, a safer opinion. You call it diplomacy, but deep down, you feel the sting of self-betrayal. You feel the moment where your honesty gutters like a candle in a draft. And every time you do it, you shrink a little more, even if nobody saw it happen. Another moment, someone inconveniences you. Slightly, subtly. They're late. They cancel. They forget. They take advantage of your flexibility. And you feel the irritation rise, but you swallow it because you don't want to seem difficult. You call it patience, but the truth is darker. You've taught yourself that your irritation is less important than their comfort. You've internalized the belief that your boundaries should stay silent unless they're on fire. And by the time they're on fire, you're already the one apologizing for the smoke. Watch closely, because this one hurts. There's the conversation where someone casually disrespects you. Not enough to fight over, but enough to wound you. A tone, a gesture, a dismissive whatever. You catch it. You feel it. You freeze for half a second. That's the moment where your power tries to speak up, and you smother it. You brush it off with a laugh or a shrug. But inside, something collapses. Something tightens. Something dims. And you pretend you didn't feel it. Another, you're asked for a favor. You know you don't have the time, the energy, or the desire, but you say yes anyway. Because you want to be seen as reliable, generous, useful. But every yes that goes against your own needs is a quiet admission that your time is worth less than whoever is asking. You don't say that out loud, but you feel it. You feel it every time you sacrifice your comfort to keep someone else comfortable. And here's the darkest one. When you sense someone pulling away, ignoring you, or giving less, you respond by giving more. You lean in. You try harder. You become more understanding, more patient, more flexible. You call it empathy, but it's not. It's fear disguised as generosity. It's desperation wrapped in kindness. It's the belief that if you pour yourself out quietly enough, consistently enough, maybe they'll value you again. These are the moments. These are the leaks. These are the silent behaviors you ignore because they don't hurt loudly enough. But they all do the same thing. They drain you. They drain you slowly. They drain you quietly. They drain you daily. And every time you ignore one, you're not just losing a moment, you're losing a piece of who you were supposed to become. You keep telling yourself you're just trying to be reasonable, that you're trying to keep life smooth, that you're avoiding unnecessary conflict. But there's a moment, one moment, When all the tiny surrenders line up in front of you, and you see it clearly for the first time, you're not losing power because people are overpowering you. You're losing power because you hand it over one silent behavior at a time. And that's the part that hits the hardest. Because you've always imagined power loss as something dramatic, someone yelling at you, someone humiliating you, someone taking something you fought to keep. You always pictured it as a storm, something undeniable, something loud. But it's not a storm. It's erosion. It's the softest kind of destruction, the kind you don't notice until it's too late. You begin to realize that every time you lower your voice, every time you avoid eye contact, every time you let someone talk over you or dismiss you or decide for you, you're not being polite. You're not being mature. You're not being understanding. You're disappearing. And the most painful truth is this: no one is doing it to you. You're doing it to yourself. You're the one who chooses silence over honesty. You're the one who chooses softness over presence. You're the one who lets the moment slip instead of reclaiming it with your truth. It feels easier in the moment, but afterward, it burns. You feel the weight in your chest, the heaviness that comes from betraying yourself. You replay the moment in your mind, telling yourself you should have said something, you should have stood taller, you should have claimed your space. But the moment is gone, and with it, a piece of your power went with it. Pause. Here's the uncomfortable truth you've avoided for years. Power isn't taken from you. Power leaks out of you through the choices you make when you think no one is watching. That moment you backed down in a conversation that mattered, that was power leaving. That moment you pretended you didn't care when you cared deeply, another leak. That moment you accepted less than you deserved because you didn't want to seem demanding, a bigger leak. And the moment you let someone treat you like an afterthought without saying a word, that was a flood. This is exactly how you lose power daily. Not because people around you are stronger, smarter, or more confident, but because they're not carrying the weight of self-betrayal you've numbed yourself to. They're not bleeding from their own silence. They're not collapsing under the pressure of being agreeable, palatable, non-threatening. You are. And the most brutal realization of all is that your silence doesn't protect you. It exposes you. It tells the world exactly how to treat you without you saying a single word. So when someone interrupts you, it's because you've taught them that you won't fight for space. When someone gives you the bare minimum, it's because you've shown them you'll accept it. When someone uses your time freely, it's because you've demonstrated that your time has no boundaries. You think you're being kind. You think you're being loyal. You think you're being easy to love. But what you're really being is powerless. Not by force, by habit, by repetition, by 8 silent behaviors you've mistaken for harmless moments. And once you see it, once you finally recognize the pattern, you can't unsee it. You feel the truth settle into your bones. Every day you ignore these behaviors is another day you hand your life to someone else. This is the realization that hurts the most. This is the moment the denial shatters. This is when you understand the title of your own life. You are losing power daily, and it's because of the silent behaviors you ignore. There's a reason these tiny behaviors drain you so effectively, and it isn't random. It isn't weakness. It isn't your personality. It's psychology, ancient, studied, and predictable. Machiavelli wrote that power is rarely lost through a single catastrophe. It dies through small concessions, the kind you make without thinking, the kind you justify as strategy, politeness, or patience. He warned that people who want to stay in control must guard their presence the way others guard their possessions. Not because the world is full of predators, but because the world responds instinctively to whatever you project. And here's what you've been projecting: that you can be bent, that you can be softened, that you can be moved, that your discomfort is more negotiable than someone else's desire. You feel that sentence land, don't you? But Machiavelli's point wasn't philosophical. It was brutally human. People don't respond to who you think you are. They respond to who you allow yourself to be. If you act like you're at the bottom of a hierarchy, everyone around you will assume you belong there. And if you behave like your boundaries are optional, people will treat them like background noise. Pause here, because this isn't about manipulation or politics or strategy. This is about the psychology of presence, the invisible contract between how you carry yourself and how people respond. You lose power daily because your silent behaviors break the contract. You soften your voice, and people hear uncertainty. You avoid eye contact, and people sense submissiveness. You defer decisions, and people register your preferences as irrelevant. You swallow irritation, and people conclude you have none. You hide your truth, and people assume you have nothing worth hearing. None of this is spoken. None of this is obvious. But every behavior broadcasts something. Jung said that what you refuse to confront in yourself will appear in your life as fate. For you, the refusal is simple. You won't confront the part of you that's afraid to take up space. So life keeps placing you in situations where you're forced to live small. You think it's bad luck, bad people, bad timing, but it's actually the shadow you refuse to turn toward. And your shadow? It's not anger. It's not ego. It's not arrogance. It's the version of you who knows you're worth more, but watches you act like you're not. This is why the silent behaviors are so destructive. They're not actions, they're signals. Signals your subconscious sends to the world long before your words arrive. Signals that tell people how much they can take, how far they can push, how little they can give. In psychology, they call this conditioning. You call it just how things are. But here's the dark truth. You're the one conditioning them. Every time you let something slide, you reinforce the idea that you can be handled. Every time you avoid a confrontation, you strengthen the belief that you won't fight back. Every time you downplay your needs, you validate the assumption that you don't have any. People aren't guessing how to treat you. You're teaching them. And the behaviors you ignore, the 8 silent leaks, are the lessons. This is the mechanism behind your daily power loss. Your psychology writes the script. Your silence directs the scene. And everyone else follows the cues you don't realize you're giving. The world isn't overpowering you. It's mirroring you. There's a reason you keep repeating these silent behaviors, even though a part of you knows they cost you something every time. You're not stupid. You're not unaware. You're not weak. You're conditioned. And that conditioning runs deeper than the moments you keep replaying in your mind. You learned early, maybe too early, that being easy made life smoother. That when you caused less friction, you received less punishment. You discovered that when you shrank, people smiled more. When you agreed, people calmed down. When you stayed quiet, the chaos stayed outside your skin. And in those moments, silence didn't feel like self-betrayal. It felt like survival. So now, as an adult, the very behaviors that drain your power feel like safety. You avoid speaking up because somewhere inside you, there's still a version of you who believes that speaking up invites consequence. You hesitate to correct people because you're carrying the memory of being scolded for being too much, too loud, or too opinionated. You agree to things you don't want to do because you grew up believing that your worth was measured by how useful you were to others, not by how truthful you were to yourself. Pause. This is the part you never admit out loud. The reason these behaviors feel invisible is because they've become your identity. You don't see yourself losing power because you don't believe you're supposed to have any. You think you're being kind. You think you're being patient. You think you're being considerate. But look closer. You're afraid. Not in the dramatic, trembling way fear looks in movies, but in the quiet, familiar way fear looks in real life. Fear of rejection. Fear of conflict. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of disappointing someone. Fear of losing someone. Fear of being seen as difficult, demanding, or dramatic. And so you soften your edges until they disappear. You cut your voice down until it barely exists. You shrink your presence until no one reacts. Because silence feels safe, and power feels dangerous. But here's the dark twist. You don't just fear losing people. You fear losing the version of yourself they're used to. The agreeable one. The flexible one. The understanding one. The one who never asks for more. The one who never puts pressure on the room. The truth? You're addicted to the identity of the easy one. It makes you feel needed. It makes you feel appreciated. It makes you feel valuable. But at the same time, it kills you. Because deep down, you know the price of being the easy one. It's the silent expectation that you'll always go last. It's the unspoken rule that your feelings can wait. It's the assumption that your boundaries are suggestions. It's the belief, held by everyone around you, including yourself, that your discomfort is the smallest problem in any room. And the worst part is this: you benefit from your own power loss. You get to avoid conflict. You get to avoid rejection. You get to avoid disappointing people. You get to avoid being seen. But comfort is not the same as peace. And silence is not the same as safety. You ignore these 8 behaviors because acknowledging them would force you to confront a brutal truth. You have built your entire identity around being someone people don't leave, instead of someone people respect. You're not losing power by accident. You're trading it for acceptance. You're trading it for validation. You're trading it for love you hope will arrive if you're quiet enough, soft enough, agreeable enough. But love given to a watered-down version of you was never meant for the real you anyway. There's a moment you never talk about, the moment right before you speak. The inhale, the hesitation, the quiet calculation where you decide how much of yourself is allowed to come out of your mouth. You don't realize it, but this is where your power dies first, in the voice you don't use. It happens everywhere. In meetings, where an idea flashes across your mind, sharp and clear, and for a second you're ready to say it. But someone else starts talking, and you let them. You tell yourself you're being polite, but the truth is simpler. You don't trust that your voice will land with the weight it deserves. So you retreat, and your idea dissolves. Someone else says something weaker, slower, less creative, but they say it out loud. And everyone nods. And you sit there, pretending it doesn't sting. It happens with friends, too. Those moments where something bothers you, a tone, a joke, a comment that crosses a line, but you laugh instead. You swallow the instinct to speak because you're afraid of changing the vibe. You don't want to be the one who makes it awkward. So you protect the mood at the expense of your self-respect. And they walk away thinking everything is fine because you taught them that everything is fine, even when it's not. Pause. This part hurts more than you expected because you know exactly how many times you've bitten your tongue, how many times you've swallowed the truth until it sat like a stone in your stomach, how many times you've stayed silent when the real you wanted to stand up, speak up, break the moment open with honesty. But you didn't. You never do. And you call it peace. Here's the truth you avoid. Your silence is not calm. It's not maturity. It's not emotional intelligence. It's fear. It's the fear that your truth won't be accepted. It's the fear that your needs will be misunderstood. It's the fear that your voice will create consequences you don't feel powerful enough to handle. So you soften, you shrink, you let the words die in your throat. And this is exactly how you lose power daily. Not because you don't have something to say, but because you train yourself to believe that your voice doesn't matter. You teach your tongue to be hesitant. You teach your lungs to ration air. You teach your body to brace for rejection before you've even opened your mouth. Watch this part closely. There are times when people actually ask for your opinion. They look you in the eyes and say, "What do you think?" And you still retreat. You offer the safe answer, the mild answer, the answer that won't provoke disagreement. You strip the sharp edges off your truth because you think being agreeable is the same as being valued. But agreeable people don't hold power. Clear voices do. And here's the darkest part. People can tell when you don't fully stand behind your own words. They hear the softness. They hear the uncertainty. They hear the little drop in tone at the end of your sentences that signals you're open to being overruled. They sense the apology hiding inside your voice even when you don't say the word sorry. And once they hear it, once they detect that subtle submission, they respond accordingly. They speak over you. They interrupt you. They dismiss you. Not because they're cruel, because you've signaled that you won't stop them. Your voice is supposed to be a boundary. Instead, you've turned it into a whisper. And every whisper is a surrender. Every surrender is a leak. And every leak is power dripping out of you in silence. You think you're protecting yourself, but really, you're erasing yourself. There's a word you use more than you realize. Sometimes it's spoken, sometimes it's implied, sometimes it hides inside the way you breathe before you speak. And every time it escapes your lips, a small piece of your power slips out with it. Sorry, not the real apologies, not the ones tied to remorse or responsibility. Those are honest, necessary, human. I'm talking about the quiet, reflexive, unconscious sorry, the apology you offer for existing, the one embedded in your tone, your posture, your presence, the one you give away even when you haven't done a single thing wrong. It shows up when someone bumps into you, and you say sorry first. It shows up when you walk through a doorway at the same time as someone else, and you step back, apologizing for taking up space. It shows up when you speak and someone interrupts, and instead of continuing, you apologize for cutting them off, even though you didn't. Watch how automatic it is. You reach for something in a store, and someone else reaches too. You apologize. You speak your opinion and someone disagrees. You apologize. You ask for clarification because something wasn't explained properly. You apologize. You exist in a way that slightly inconveniences someone's expectations, and you apologize. This is one of the darkest silent behaviors you ignore because you never see it as power loss. You see it as politeness. You see it as courtesy. You see it as the way you were raised. But here's the truth you don't want to admit. You apologize because you believe your presence is a disturbance. Pause. Let that land. Because if you trace the reflex back far enough, you find the same origin every time. A version of you that learned that your needs, your questions, your voice, your movement through the world required justification. That you had to soften yourself to earn comfort, that you had to shrink to earn permission, that you had to apologize to earn safety. So now your power leaks through the smallest cracks in your day, disguised as humility. You apologize before asking a question. You apologize for asking for clarification. You apologize for changing your mind. You apologize for needing a moment. You apologize for speaking. You apologize for not speaking. You apologize for being too much. You apologize for not being enough. And behind every unnecessary sorry, what people hear isn't kindness, it's hierarchy. They hear that you're placing yourself below them. They hear that you're taking responsibility for discomfort that isn't yours. They hear that their time, their space, their preferences matter more than yours. They hear the quiet message you never meant to send. I don't believe I belong on equal ground. And the world responds to that message exactly as psychology predicts. People treat you as if you're secondary, not because they're malicious, because you've signaled that you are. Here's the dark twist. The more you apologize, the more reasons people find to expect apologies from you. They interrupt more because they know you'll apologize for being in the way. They inconvenience you more because you'll apologize for needing boundaries. They speak over you more because you'll apologize for wanting the floor back. Your unnecessary sorries create a gravitational pull that places you in the orbit beneath everyone else. You think you're being respectful, but really, you're positioning yourself as less. And every time you do, your power drips away quietly, unnoticed, unchallenged, accepted as part of your personality. But it's not your personality. It's your conditioning. And conditioning can be rewritten. If you want to see where your power goes each day, look at the places where the word sorry sits on your tongue without you even thinking. That's where the leak begins. There's a moment people rarely admit out loud. The moment when someone interrupts you, and you feel your entire body tense for a split second. You feel that jolt of irritation, that tiny spark of "I wasn't finished," that instinctive pushback rising up your spine. But before it reaches your mouth, before it takes shape as a sentence, you swallow it. You let the moment pass. You let them take the floor, and you pretend it didn't matter. But it did. It matters every time. You don't realize how often this happens. You'll be talking, expressing something real, trying to articulate a thought that took effort to form, and someone else jumps in, louder, faster, more comfortable taking space. And the second their voice overlaps yours, something inside you collapses. You step back. You go quiet. You let them redirect the moment like your words were a placeholder until something more important came along. And you don't even question it. You've made it normal. It happens with family. When you start sharing something that means something to you, and someone cuts you off with their own story. You let them. You nod. You smile. You act like it's fine. But the part of you that wanted to be heard retreats deeper into silence. It happens with friends. When you're in the middle of explaining your perspective, and someone interrupts with a joke or an unrelated comment. The moment shifts, everyone laughs, and you join in. Even though your sentence was left hanging, incomplete, abandoned halfway in the air. It happens with strangers, too. A salesperson, a manager, a colleague, someone who doesn't even know you well enough to think they deserve priority in the conversation, and yet somehow, you give it to them. Not because they earned it, but because you've never practiced holding the floor. Pause. Here's the truth you avoid. When you let people interrupt you without reclaiming your place in the conversation, you send a message so subtle you don't hear it, but they do. You tell them your words aren't urgent. You tell them your thoughts can wait. You tell them their voice outranks yours. You tell them you're used to being overlooked. You tell them it's safe to treat you as background noise. And people adjust instantly. Humans always adjust to where the resistance is, and you offer none. But the darkest part isn't their interruption. It's your internal response. Because you don't just go quiet, you shrink. You feel yourself trying to make up for taking space. You smile more, nod more, soften more, as if to apologize for wanting to be part of the conversation at all. You erase yourself smoothly, effortlessly, like you've done it 1,000 times. And you have. This is one of the silent behaviors that drains you daily. You don't need someone to belittle you directly. You do it for them. You hand over the mic. You hand over the moment. You hand over the right to be heard. Every interruption you accept becomes a lesson you teach the world. I don't need to be listened to. You go ahead, and the world believes you. But here's the part that stings. Every time you stay silent after being interrupted, you're actually interrupting yourself. You're cutting off your own truth, your own confidence, your own presence. You're stopping your own voice mid-sentence, long after the other person has stopped talking. And that's the real power loss. Not that someone interrupted you, but that you didn't return to your sentence. You didn't reclaim the space. You didn't remind the moment that your voice has weight. You let the moment die, and something inside you dies with it. This is self-erasure. Silent, invisible, daily. And the world responds to the version of you who keeps stepping back, never the version of you who's waiting in. The shadows, screaming for a chance to be heard. There's a moment you always gloss over. The moment when something crosses your line, and instead of saying so, you freeze. Not long enough for anyone to notice, just long enough for you to feel the truth flicker through your chest. This is not okay. But you smother that truth before it reaches the surface. You let the moment slide. You tell yourself it's not worth the discomfort. And so you choose silence, again, instead of a boundary. This is where the power leak becomes a flood. It happens when someone makes a comment that hits too close to a wound you've never shown them. You laugh it off. You smile. You pretend it didn't hurt. But inside, your chest tightens. Your breath shortens. The real you takes one step further back. It happens when someone asks you for something you don't want to give. Your time, your energy, your help, and your instinct says no. The no is clear. It rises instantly. But then guilt creeps in, followed by fear, followed by that familiar pressure to be nice. And so your no becomes a weak yes, or a maybe, or a vague "I'll try." Even though you already know the truth, you never wanted this. It happens when someone disrespects your time, shows up late, cancels last minute, treats your schedule as optional. And instead of saying, "I need you to be on time," you say, "It's okay." Even though it's not. Even though your whole day has been derailed. Even though you're the one who pays the price. Pause. You think these moments are tiny, harmless, normal, but they are not normal. They are the slow death of your identity. Because boundaries are where your power lies, and every time you delay one, every time you avoid the sentence you should have said, you carve a little piece of yourself out and hand it away. People feel it, too. They feel the gap. They feel the softness. They feel the hesitation. And the world responds instantly to hesitation. It fills the space you fail to claim. Someone takes advantage of your flexibility. Someone pushes past your comfort zone. Someone asks for more than they give. Someone learns they can take without asking. Not because they're evil, but because you taught them they can. Delayed boundaries are the quietest form of self-abandonment. You think you're choosing the path of least resistance, but you're actually choosing the path of deepest resentment. You lie to protect the moment, only to suffer afterward in silence. You avoid the 2 seconds of discomfort it would take to say the truth, and in exchange you buy hours, sometimes days, of self-loathing. This is exactly how you lose power daily. Not by shouting matches, not by dramatic betrayals, but by the moments you swallow the word no because you're terrified of how it might change the room. You believe saying no risks losing people, so you risk losing yourself instead. Here's the darkest part. You rarely say no because you've convinced yourself that your needs are negotiable. that your limits are flexible, that your discomfort is a cheaper price than someone else's disappointment. But every time you choose their comfort over your boundary, you reinforce the same message. My needs don't matter. My time isn't valuable. My comfort is secondary. I will tolerate anything if it keeps the peace. And people believe the message. They shape their behavior around it. They treat you according to the rules you quietly wrote. Then you sit alone afterward, replaying the moment you should have spoken up, feeling the burn of all the words you didn't say. The anger, the disgust, the exhaustion, the heaviness. That heaviness is the weight of power you gave away without a fight. Boundaries aren't walls. They're self-respect made visible. And every time you delay one, you make yourself invisible. You think people only hear your words, but they don't. Long before you speak, your body speaks for you. And your body has been telling the same story for years. A story of hesitation, insecurity, and quiet submission. A story you don't hear, but everyone else does. It starts the moment you enter a room. Your shoulders draw in just a little. Your steps soften. Your movements shrink. You make yourself smaller, not physically, but energetically, as if trying to slip into the space without disturbing anyone. You don't walk in like you belong. You walk in like you're asking permission to exist there. And the room feels it. It shows up in the way you sit during conversations. You lean forward slightly, not out of interest, but out of subconscious eagerness. A silent, I'm listening. I'm agreeable. I'm not a threat. Your hands stay still, controlled, careful. You nod more than necessary. You smile even when nothing was said that deserved a smile. You look like someone trying to keep the temperature steady, even when no one asked you to. Pause. This isn't friendliness. This is a reflex, the reflex to appease. Your body is constantly negotiating, constantly adapting, constantly broadcasting your willingness to yield. You don't even realize you're doing it. You think you're being polite. But to others, it looks like you're trying to earn your place moment by moment. Watch what you do when someone disagrees with you. Your shoulders hunch. Your eyes drop for a second. Your voice dips just enough to signal that you're stepping back. Your entire posture shifts into apology. You're not arguing, you're retreating. Then there's the smile. The one that appears when you feel discomfort. The smile that has nothing to do with happiness. It's a shield, a mask, a self-soothing lie that tells the world, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I don't need anything. You wear that smile even when your chest is tight, even when your stomach drops, even when someone crosses your boundaries so blatantly it should have triggered fire in your eyes. But the fire never reaches your face. Your body extinguishes it before anyone notices. And here's the darkest part. People trust body language more than words. So even if you manage to speak clearly, confidently, assertively, your body betrays you the moment you fear disapproval. Your voice says, it's okay, but your shoulders say, please don't be upset. Your words say, I don't mind, but your eyes say, just accept me. Your laugh says, no problem, but your posture says, please don't pull away from me. Approval seeking isn't something you do consciously. It's a learned language, one you mastered long before you knew what power meant. And the world reads it instantly. People interrupt you more because your posture says you won't fight for the floor. People take more from you because your eyes say you won't object. People assume you're flexible because your shoulders slump into agreement before they even finish their sentence. People test your boundaries because your nervous smile says you'll forgive anything. This is one of the 8 silent behaviors you ignore, the one that drains you without a single word being spoken. Because approval-seeking body language doesn't just signal submissiveness, it invites it. It creates a gravitational imbalance where people naturally take the dominant role while you sink into the accommodating one. And every time you do it, you lose a little more of yourself, a little more of your authority, a little more of your presence, a little more of your power. You think you're being agreeable, but what you're really being is readable. And when people can read your fear of disapproval, they stop giving you anything to approve of. There's a point in this journey where the world stops being the problem, and the mirror becomes impossible to avoid. You've spent years telling yourself that people take advantage of you, that people ignore you, that people drain you. But here's the truth no one has ever forced you to face. You trained them. You taught them you don't need to be heard. You taught them you don't need to be chosen. You taught them your time doesn't need to be respected. You taught them your boundaries are optional. You taught them you will bend, soften, shrink, and break just to keep the peace. And they believed you, not because they're cruel, not because they're manipulative, but because you've been rehearsing these 8 silent behaviors your entire life. You've said them with your voice, with your posture, with your delayed boundaries, with your tiny apologies, with every moment you stepped back when you should have stepped forward. People responded to the lessons you kept teaching. But now you see it. Now it's clearer than it has ever been. You weren't powerless. You were participating. You were part of the pattern you kept blaming others for. Every time you went quiet instead of speaking up, you reinforced the hierarchy. Every time you said, "It's fine," when it wasn't, you cemented your own invisibility. Every time you swallowed your truth to protect someone else's comfort, you taught them that your discomfort was the acceptable cost. Pause. This is the part that hurts. You didn't lose power, you traded it. You traded your voice for acceptance. You traded your boundaries for connection. You traded your time for validation. You traded your truth for peace. You traded your needs for permission to exist without conflict. And you told yourself this was noble. You told yourself this was kindness. You told yourself this was love. But none of it was love. It was fear wearing the mask of love. Fear of being abandoned. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being disliked. Fear of being difficult. Fear of being seen fully. Fear of being rejected by people you shouldn't have needed in the first place. Look at your life with brutal honesty. How many relationships have been built not on who you are, but on who you pretended to be? How many people think they know you, when in reality they only know the edited version of you? The version who makes their life easy, warm, comfortable? That's not connection. That's performance. And performances always end with exhaustion. This is why you feel tired in rooms where you haven't moved. This is why you feel drained after conversations where you barely spoke. This is why you feel unseen even when people are looking at you. This is why you feel unheard even when people respond to you. Because you haven't been showing up as you. You've been showing up as the safer version of you. The one who causes no disruption and holds no power. And here's the darkest part. If you continue living this way, your future is already written. You will keep choosing people who require you to shrink. You will keep accepting situations that drain you. You will keep playing small to avoid losing people who don't add value to your life. You will keep waking up tired from the weight of your own silence. You will keep erasing yourself one quiet moment at a time, until there's nothing left but the shell of who you were supposed to become. But the mirror also offers a different possibility. The truth that you were the one leaking power means you can be the one who stops it. No one is coming to rescue you from your silence. No one is coming to hand you your power back. No one is coming to force you to speak, to stand, to draw the line. It has to be you. It has always been you. And if you choose differently, If you choose to stop pretending, to stop shrinking, to stop apologizing for existing, everything changes. But first, you must face the truth the mirror is showing you. You are not powerless. You are unclaimed. And it's time to claim yourself back. This is the part where everything becomes brutally simple. After all the explanations, all the patterns, all the quiet betrayals, it comes down to a single choice. A binary. A fork in the road so sharp it splits your life into two timelines. And the truth is, you already know both of them. The first one is the path you're already on. The familiar one, the comfortable one, the one paved with the 8 silent behaviors you keep pretending aren't destroying you. If you stay on that path, nothing dramatic will happen. No explosions, no breakdowns, no cinematic collapse, just slow decay. A life where you keep saying, "It's fine," while something inside you withers. A life where your boundaries stay stuck in your throat until they rot into resentment. A life where people treat you exactly the way you've taught them to, as an afterthought. A life where you wake up every day a little smaller than yesterday. A life where you grow older but never grow louder. A life where your potential dies quietly in the background. This is the path where you keep choosing peace instead of power, even though you never actually get peace, just the illusion of it. This is the path where you keep losing yourself, piece by piece, and convince yourself it's maturity. It's selflessness. It's kindness. It's not. You know it's not. If you choose this path, your future is predictable. You'll keep attracting people who love the soft version of you, the silent version of you, the version who bends without breaking because she's forgotten how to stand tall. You'll keep giving more than you receive. You'll keep apologizing for needs you're terrified to admit you have. You'll keep choosing comfort over self-respect until comfort becomes a cage. And maybe the worst part? You'll never experience the life that was meant for the version of you who wasn't afraid to take up space. That's one path. Here's the other. The path where you stop leaking power from the tiny cracks you've ignored. The path where you stop shrinking. Stop softening. Stop apologizing for breathing. Stop giving people the edited version of you. It's the path where you reclaim your voice, not by yelling, not by forcing, but by simply refusing to let your truth die in your throat anymore. The path where you correct people when they cross your line. The path where you say no without apologizing. The path where you speak with clarity instead of hesitation. It's the path where your posture changes, where you walk into a room like you belong there because you finally believe you do, where your shoulders stop carrying the fear of being disliked, where your eyes stop searching for permission. It's the path where you stop negotiating your worth in every conversation, where your presence stops being a request and becomes a fact, where you let people come and go without bending yourself into pieces to keep them. This path won't be easy. It will be uncomfortable at first, painfully uncomfortable. You'll feel guilt where there should be relief. You'll feel fear where there should be pride. You'll feel selfish where there should be self-respect. That's what happens when you rewrite conditioning. But if you keep walking, if you give this new version of you a chance, something impossible happens. People start treating you differently, not because they changed, but because you did. Your yes starts to mean something. Your no starts to land. Your voice stops trembling. Your boundaries stop sounding negotiable. Your presence starts holding weight. The world responds to you the way you respond to yourself. And suddenly, the power you've been losing daily stops dripping away. It gathers. It returns. It builds. It becomes something solid, something grounded, something unmistakable. So here is your binary choice, laid bare. Stay quiet, stay small, stay agreeable, and lose power until there's none left. Or face the discomfort, speak the truth, draw the line, and reclaim yourself piece by piece. No one can choose for you. No one can walk this for you. No one can hand you the version of yourself you keep yearning for. It's you. It has always been you. And now you decide, which version of you survives after today?